Russia. Oh, there's some police. That's crazy. We are in Russia right now. I'm here at the Saatse Museum, where literally just 1,000 meters that way is the border between Russia and Estonia. Now, I've only been in the town of Saatse for a little while, and while it looks relatively unassuming, for any geography or birder nerds out there like me, this has a very interesting secret, and it's that right by this town is one of the 2 places that you can actually enter Russia from the EU without a visa. At least, technically. Just up that road lies what's called the Saatse Butte, an area that contains 2 bits of Estonian road that pass through the territory of the Russian Federation. You're actually able to see a sign on the side, and you are told very explicitly in multiple languages that you cannot get out of your car, but you are effectively able to pass through the country, if only for a few seconds. We started our day on the ferry coming from Helsinki and rented a car just at the Tallinn port. I'll be very honest with you, getting to this spot isn't super easy. If you do want to take public transportation, first of all, you won't have a car, so you can't actually do the road, and second, you'll have an 11-hour bus ride, so I really just don't recommend that at all. It's better to just rent a car and deal with the 3.5-hour drive. You might not be visiting from Tallinn, but in all likelihood, if you're a tourist, you're probably going to be flying into Tallinn or Riga or something like that. So regardless of where you come from, when you add it all together, it's going to end up being a full day affair, and with gas and car rental money, it's an activity that probably costs around $200, but if you're with a few friends, it's pretty good. The roads weren't bad at all. I drive like a grandma in other countries, but this was easily one of the most simple highway systems I've ever had to navigate. While on the road, we hit up some local cuisine, and like I said, made it to the spot in about 3.5 hours. But on the way, we realized something interesting. So I had just put like the town of Saatse in the GPS, and the thing is, both Google Maps and Apple Maps will do their absolute best to route you around the butte. We ended up on what I presume were logging roads, basically going around the butte and later approaching it from south to north, instead of the north to south that we had already been driving. So I do recommend that before you get on the road, you carefully look at the route that your GPS has taken you on, or maybe just pull off the road and double check everything when you get close. Interestingly, Apple Maps doesn't even recognize the land as Russia, so I would just use Google Maps or a different one in general. Regardless of that delay, it was a pretty nice drive. You might be wondering why I did go through all this though. I mean, it was 3.5 hours, but the honest answer is that I'm not confident that this space will exist forever. There's been news floating around that eventually Estonia is going to reroute the road to avoid the Russian territory, and when I was there, it did look like there was some construction. There wasn't any paving material or machinery, but they've been cutting back the tree line around the road, so what I imagine is going to happen is they're going to move this fence first and then reroute the actual road. I believe the war in Ukraine kicked this off, but they've been talking about getting rid of this forever. It's just become a massive headache, and some sources suggest it'll be completed in 2026. So if this is something you're remotely considering checking out, you should do so as soon as you possibly can. The Saatse Museum here is a great spot to park beforehand because you could see a few interesting things. There are pretend border markers here that you can take pictures with, and you can actually approach the border on foot. Not close enough to, stick your hand through the fence, but you can at least see it. The butte itself is just 3 minutes up the road from here. The Saatse Butte is made of 2 segments, one that takes about 2 minutes to drive through, and another that's so short you could easily throw a baseball from one side to the other. We are in Russia right now. Oh my gosh, this is creepy. Do you see how it got darker the minute we crossed the border?
Yeah.
This is like a Dark Souls boss, dude. We just
I'm trying to see if I can spot
Yo, look at the road. Look at the road. No, babe, look at this. Look at Yo, what? That's crazy. Okay, our Russian vacation is coming to an end. There's the border, and we are exiting right now. And there we go. We are out of Russia. That was weird. It's like that meme from SpongeBob where they're freaking out over a roller coaster that just looks like this, but it really was odd. Actually though, it is really fascinating. It's also not surprising that they're gonna close this up, because you look right here, I mean, this is someone's land, but you've got a big open field that you could make a highway around if you had the time. And this isn't even really a highway, to be honest. If you're looking at this road, it's just a paved road like any neighborhood road. It really would not be a big deal to close, which is why, if you're interested in this type of thing like I am, the time to check this out is now, because it will not be around much longer. A lot of fences for so little road. We're gonna pass through it again a second time. There's the smaller blip coming up just ahead. So that last one was maybe a couple 100 feet, but this one's gonna be just a little bit smaller, but still kind of interesting. We just passed a couple of cops, and I'm very curious to see. It's been a minute and they haven't came now, so I don't think they're gonna come, but I was honestly thinking they were just gonna start following us. They were Estonian police. And I was curious to see if they were going to come check us out, just make sure we had our documents and knew what we were doing. Because in some of the videos I've seen before, you know, Americans or British, whatever tourists that go through here, they often get stopped, not out of any malice, but just, you know, to warn them. But I believe we've gone right back out. We're once again in Estonia. But yeah, that was weird. I mean, I can imagine there's a little bit of a walking path there. I can imagine they've got those Estonian police there just to make sure nobody walks from any of those houses. Again, though, I just can't imagine. It's a very weird life living around here. I mean, well, I don't know what it's really like, but you've got all these houses, you know, these like normal folks that probably have to make that journey every day. So, you know, I get why the boot exists in the first place, but it seems like a lot of resources to devote to a very small community. And I just can't, I'd be really curious to speak with some of these people and maybe just hear any of their opinions on any strife or strange things that just happen here. You know, I imagine, as guarded as this is, as many police as we've seen, you know, I've seen 3 or 4 police cars, and I didn't see any in the 3.5-hour drive to Saatse. I still imagine people make their way to and from, probably from and not to, Russia.
And we're doing it again.
We are doing it again. I spent a ton of time driving to see this thing, so I'm gonna see it twice. And I also severely underestimated how much European gas costs. So we'll see if we can catch a glimpse of the Estonian police that we caught in the little section, which we'll approach in like 10 seconds from now. I do not want to drop my camera in Russia. I will not be getting it back. Oh, there's some police. When you're 10 years old and you get a shot, like it's over. I was all hyped for it, and then I mean that second bit right there is seriously like 2.5 car lengths. It's almost not worth the effort. It's just really interesting. You can tell here though, I mean, again, like I'm not 100% sure if this road is going to be completed, but they've torn up, it looks like these are logging woods anyway, and they've torn up and dug out a bunch of them. So it does look like, at least lightly, they are somewhat preparing for renovations around here. And we're out. Okay. Although I'm sure this situation involves a lot of community policing. You know, I mean, I think these police know the 14 and a half people that live in buildings around here. And, you know, when a dude who looks like me, who doesn't speak Estonian, pulls up, that's, you know, when the spider senses kick in. So, I mean, after time, if you guard the same 15 feet of road, you're gonna know what cars go through there and what cars don't. So that was our first trip to Russia, visa-free. I don't know if I'll be back or not. You know, it was an excellent 30 meters of dirt, I gotta say. Top tier dirt. I would say if you find yourself prancing around southern Estonia, which coming out here is worth it. It was really interesting. A little bit of a nerdy visit, but yeah, first trip in the books. Anyway, that's about it. This was a fun, nerdy little spot to check out. Consider subscribing for more random spawn-ins, side quests, and travel videos. I've got a few other videos about traveling in Eastern Europe if you're into this kind of thing, or Soviet-related stuff, and I'd love it if you check them out after you subscribe. Thanks again, and I hope to see you guys next time.